Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over a rifle that is unfortunately no longer imported into the United States. That doesn't mean it's not a great rifle, and we shouldn't review it. So we're certainly still going to review it because these are out there for sale for sure. We checked Gunbroker today, and there was a couple on there for sale. So if you would like one, they're still out there. They're just likely going to be used, which is no problem with these rifles because they're obviously AK-74s, some of the most durable rifles out there on the planet. So what we're going to do today is do a little bit more shooting, then step outside, take a look at this rifle, see what kind of accuracy we can get out of it, at least with this guy behind it. Come back inside, take a look at some of the details of it. This one here is obviously the SGL 3195, so that means it has the polymer folding stock. The SGL 3185 is the identical rifle, just with a triangle folder. So either one will have the exact same specs and feature set that we're going to talk about here, just with a different folder if you're going for the 85. But enough yapping by me, let's get into some more shooting. We're going to see what kind of accuracy we can get out of this rifle. We have 7.6 ammo in there, so certainly pretty common stuff. Very accurate round as well. The primary arms, 5-power ACSS optic on there, mounted up on a RS Regulate scope mount. And what else? CTK Precision rest. Folks always ask about that. And I think we have this is a KZ adjustable sling for everybody wondering. So that's pretty much what we're using. And we'll see if we can actually poke some small holes in paper. Let's go check it out. Not too bad of a group, as you guys already saw. I was actually expecting a little bit better, but that's why we shoot them. So if you take a look at that group, we're just over 2 inches. So 2¼ inches, 7.6, 100 yards, 5-power scope. I have some 74s that seem to shoot a little bit tighter than that, but certainly this one is within, the norm, if you will. As long as you're under 3 inches with a 74, you're probably doing all right. So not going to complain about that at all, and I'll live with it for now. Here in the United States, on the front of the rifle, you're going to find a KVAR-made AK-74 style brake. Very, very good at controlling recoil. However, you're going to have a little bit of blast and flash for sure. If you want that or a flash hider, I suppose is your choice at the end of the day, but that is what it comes with. It does have 24mm threads for any of your other AK accessories that you want to put on there. If it's threaded in 24mm, you will be good to go. This rifle here is zeroed at 100 meters. Taking a look there at that front sight, you can see that it's a little bit pushed over, but well within the distance that is acceptable, I should say, for AKs. So definitely has nice straight sights there, which is something I like. The gas block is also straight as well, I should point out. Underneath that sight, we do have a bayonet lug for attaching any sort of bayonets or any other goodies that you want to put on there. Moving back a little bit, you can see we do have a sling loop on the left side. We attached a little 550 cord, so we could use a more common US variant, but of course you could just use your AK style clip on there if you wanted to use the standard clip. The gas block on the rifle is chrome lined, so that way it's going to give you a little bit more corrosion resistance if you're shooting corrosive ammo, or even if you're not, it's still going to help make it easier to clean it up if you actually go through there and wipe out your gas block. Now moving back even more, we do have the KVAR handguards here. They have the US stamping on there for 922R compliance. Now these do have a nice palm swell here, and they do have a full heat shield in there, so they're going to hold up as well as any handguards to the heat that you can get when you fire these rifles with rapid fire. Of course, eventually that will fail, but you'd be putting a lot of rounds down range before that ever happened. The rear sight block is graduated out to 1,000 meters, which is pretty optimistic for this rifle for sure. I like to keep it on the battle rifle setting, but other folks may vary on that. That's how I keep it though, and just adjust for holdover, or for distance with holdovers, I should say. On the right side of the pistol, not too much going on here. We have your standard safety, safe and fire markings, and all the numbers are matching as you'd expect from a factory gun. On the left side of the receiver, there's a little bit more going on since this is a factory folding rifle. We do have our locking mechanism right here up on the front of the receiver, all of our Russian markings, and you'll also note it does say FIME group, which is sort of a bit of controversy for folks out there. I have found though that there is absolutely no difference in terms of the conversion quality between them and the old Arsenal. Personal preference there. I've not seen it anyway. A lot of folks out there say they've seen a difference. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide with research on your own. Now to fold the folder here, this little button right here on the back of the receiver gets pressed in, and you just fold it, locks in place. To unfold it, we're just going to push this little button right here on the stock and open it back up, and it locks out with authority very solidly as well. There is, of course, a side rail for mounting optics that you guys have already seen throughout the video, and that little cutout there in the stock, that's actually what that's for, so that way it can actually fold flat on there, so it has the cutout to match up there. You can see on the stock we also have our factory ISI markings as well, something that a lot of folks are going to like. And of course, since this is a Russian gun, it does have the Russian pin size for the folder, so that's one of the differences between this and the SLR 104 that folks are always talking about. There is a different pin size. Additionally, since we're talking about differences, one thing that's also different is right above the grip here, which is also a US part. There's no plate like you do see on the 104 and 107 series, so there's no additional reinforcements there. It just goes right into the receiver. Disassembling the rifle is standard AK, so you're just going to push your safety down, ensure that it's clear. Of course it is. I'm going to push the little tab here on the back of the receiver in and pull up on the handguard, on the top cover I should say. Set that off to the side, pull our spring out, set that off to the side, pull our bolt and bolt carrier back, and it comes right out just like that. You can see it does have a flat piston up here. A lot of the other AK variants will have some grooves in there. Does it matter in terms of function? I say no. And your bolt slides out just by rotating it out like any other AK. And like we mentioned earlier, all matching numbers on there as you'd expect. Taking a look inside the receiver and see a few things. We have those Russian trigger springs, those coil springs, which are really nice. And the trigger itself is a KVAR trigger. So on that note, it's a two-stage trigger, at least in terms of function. So how that works is with the safety down, when you start to pull it, you have this sort of play in there. And then on the bottom ledge of that hammer, there's an additional ledge that's not there on a lot of triggers that you have to overcome. So it breaks right around 6 pounds. So a little bit heavier than a lot of AK triggers out there, at least here in the US. But it does give you that last indicator stage that it's about to break. Some folks like it, some folks don't. I really don't care. I don't think it's a big deal either way. It's perfectly functional as it is, and it has a nice audible reset for when you're actually firing somewhat rapidly. Moving forward, you can see that our bullet guide there is riveted in place as per the Russian mil spec, and you can probably see from this angle that the barrel itself is chrome lined, again aiding in corrosion resistance, giving you a little bit more barrel life. And of course the barrel itself is cold hammer forged, and these Russian AK-74 barrels are known to have some pretty incredible lifespans. I mean, folks will estimate them anywhere between 20 and even higher round counts than that. We've seen online some places posting that they're still having accurate groups, upwards of 60,000 rounds. So that's about all you could ask from a barrel. I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff to be able to give good accuracy at those round counts. During the intro, I mentioned that these rifles were not imported anymore. I didn't mention why. That's due to an executive order by the president saying that these can't come in anymore, unfortunately. So that's certainly bad news for everybody out there. If you're looking for a comparable rifle, check out my review of the SLR 104 FR. It's a great rifle. And performance-wise is going to be pretty much identical to what you see here. Of course, that one's made in Bulgaria. This one's made in Russia. And there's a few differences that we already talked about. However, performance-wise, they're going to be pretty much identical. That's an excellent rifle as well if you're looking to pick up something new at a little bit lower cost point. Now, speaking of cost point, what are you going to find these rifles in terms of price range? So the SGL 31s have gone up a lot in price, obviously, since the ban. It's just basic supply and demand. The scarcity drives up the price. And the basic models with the fixed stock are going, $1,200 and up. So for the folding stock models, which are certainly more rare, if it's FIME group like this one is, those tend to command a little bit less than the old Arsenal ones. So, I mean, really, you're talking $1,300 to $1,800 maybe, and maybe a little bit more for the Arsenal ones. Now I know that seems crazy for a lot of folks out there when you can get a 104 FR a little bit cheaper, and that's fine. By all means, if you like the 104s, get the 104s. It's a great rifle. But a lot of people like the authentic Russian AK-74s. This is pretty close to what the actual Russian military is using, and I know that means a lot to folks. Of course, they recently upgraded with a few different add-ons, but this is pretty much their base rifle with, you know, U.S. compliance parts and all that stuff. So I was a little bit disappointed out there with the accuracy that we got out of this particular rifle, but that certainly could be this guy's fault, not this guy's fault. It's entirely possible. Several 74 variants I've had in the past have done a little bit better in terms of accuracy, but the 5.45 round is a very accurate round, as we've proven many times here on the channel. It's a very lethal round as well. It does very well in terms of terminal performance, and the 7N6 has built up a great reputation for that, along with the 7N10 round that a lot of forces overseas use as well. So it's a very good round. It shoots flat out to really about 500 yards. Pretty comparable to the 223 with some pretty big differences as well. But if you don't know anything about the round, that's a good way to sort of picture it versus the 7.62 by 39 variant. So I think that's pretty much it. We covered all the highlights of the rifle. If you guys have any questions about it, by all means, post below in the comments section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video.